2 French thrillers back to back. Here we go. Hey guys, it's G from the F Word here to review The Frozen Dead. Now, disclaimer, I don't know if this is actually a Netflix original. This was streaming on SBS Demand from what I saw online back in August, but it's showing that it's a Netflix original. I'm not 100% sure what is right now because the more I look at it online, the more confused I get. So anybody that can give me some insight into this, that would be great, because as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't seem to be a Netflix original. Anyway, so The Frozen Dead, or as the original title is, Glace or Glacé, I'm not French, I'm sorry, as I said, is a French thriller. It's set in the French Pyrenees, where these 2 guys on a gondola find this horse that's been opened up, head taken off, and this horse is worth like 600,000 euros. And so this detective named Irene is starting on the case. They bring in a guy named Martin, Detective Martin. He works with her to figure out what the deal is with this horse. They find the head at one point, and they start to unravel this story that's a lot bigger than just a dead horse. A lot bigger than just a dead horse. While this is going on, there's a girl named Diane Berg. She works at a psychiatric ward or hospital around there, and there's a guy named Julian Hirtmann. Now, Hirtmann was a cop way back in the day with Martin, and I guess they were friends. But Hirtmann killed some people. Girls specifically. Martin put him away, and he's been declared a psychopath, and he's in this ward. Now, the thing with Diane is that this guy killed her sister, but they haven't been able to find the body, so she got a job there so she can find out where her sister's body is, so they can at least give her a proper burial. And this guy's not letting up. As the horse story unfolds, we get Martin intersecting with Diane because he knows Diane and who she really is, because the rest of the ward doesn't. She changed her name, all that stuff, so she can get a job there. Otherwise, conflict of interest, right? And Martin being the only one that knows who she is, that she lied about everything, he's keeping it under wraps because he also wants to help, because he's the one that screwed up and blames himself for her sister dying. This is all very quick in the beginning. And so while she's trying to figure that out, there's some guy going around killing horses, killing a lot of these guys that were involved in this really, really horrible secret in the French Pyrenees. And it's like this revenge, thriller, horror, murder type of show, all led by Martin, by Diane, involving Hirtmann and a bunch of other dudes, all starting with this horse. And there's our show. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that this is shot beautifully. The French Pyrenees and the town, I believe it's called St. Martin, looks gorgeous. It's displayed beautifully. It's like its own character. A lot of the shots that they use make sure that this setting is presented as importantly as the characters that are there, because I guess artistically speaking, this place is like a globe that holds all these secrets together. And this Hirtmann guy is the one kind of calling some shots, and these stories are starting to slowly unfold in this place. And so they did a really good job of showcasing the beautiful scenery, and you feel cold. Like, remember when you watched The Revenant and you felt freezing the entire time? Well, the way that this was shot and presented and the color palette that they used made you feel the same way. So that was really cool. Just beautiful. Like, production value was top notch on this one. The other really good thing that I like, Detective Martin as a character. Now, there are some tropes. There are some cliches. He does drink, he smokes, he's got personal issues, all that stuff, but they didn't make him the brooding genius detective that has this past that allows him, or he gives himself permission to be a dick to everybody, that they do a lot. This character is a more empathetic and more understanding character that wears his heart on his sleeve. Yes, he's dealing with his issues, and he's dealing with it the way that he's dealing with it, but they don't let it get to the point where you kind of hate him for just being a dick for no reason. They don't make him come across as this genius that sees one thing and then unravels this entire mystery just from his head, and everyone's trying to keep up with him. He is a guy that's made mistakes, and he shows those mistakes. He shows remorse. He shows that he is ashamed on his face. And that's a really tough thing to do for an actor, is to show shame while trying to keep a presence of this lead. And I thought it was done very well. That for me as a character, he led this whole thing in my mind, even though there were some other characters obviously in this. I believe he led it for those reasons, that he is a character that I could stand behind. Yes, some of the stuff that he did wasn't the greatest thing in the world. He has a daughter, doesn't get into fights with her. He loves his daughter. She loves him. She understands that he works really hard, all that stuff. He's got some other stuff going on in his life. And yes, it creeps in a little bit, but he tries to remain as much as straight as he can, and just a guy that tries to deal with things as they come, as opposed to yelling at everybody and displacing his anger and his own shame and projecting it on everybody else. So I thought that was really well done. I thought that was one of the highlights of this. Rest of the characters were fine. Rest of the writing was all right. Direction was really good. The directing in this I liked. I liked the way that they set certain things up. I liked the way that they unraveled the story. And another thing too, the music cues in this were really interesting. And if you thought that Hurt from Johnny Cash was better than Nine Inch Nails, I wouldn't say this is better, but it's really interesting to hear like a boys choir version of Hurt as the opening credits. Really creepy. Really good. I'd say some of the negatives would be the fact that, yes, it does have a lot of cliche stuff you've seen before, but in this day and age, after seeing so much television and movies and all that, it's really hard to avoid. And yeah, some points I could see some things coming along, a couple things, not as telegraphed as Le Monte, which you can check out that review before. That one just telegraphed from the beginning. This one kept a lot of its stuff close to the vest, but did it in a way that was plausible. However, they did, again, use a lot of those cliches. They did have that Hannibal thing where you've got your psycho in Hirtmann in the psychiatric ward and only giving Diane just little bits at a time while orchestrating his plan by people outside, and not everybody knowing where or how he's exacting his, I don't know, call it revenge, call it whatever you want to call it. When you see it, you'll understand. It was not so much a bad thing or an over-the-top negative. It was just there, and it was maybe a lower point in this. The other negative is that for some reason they kind of left this open for a sequel, or the way that it ended. If it ends the way that it ended and they don't do a sequel, because I haven't looked to see if they're doing a sequel, then fine. But if it goes into a sequel, not the biggest fan. They could leave it as it is and it'd be just fine. So some of the stuff they did with some of the stories, and the way that it was a little bit convoluted about that third or fourth episode where I myself got lost. And I mean, I pay attention to these because you're reading the subtitles. It took a little bit for me to finally click in on a lot of the stuff. But again, that's what happens when you're juggling so many pieces. It's not going to work out every time. But I would say this is worth your time. If you saw my review of Le Monte and you saw Le Monte, this is better than Le Monte in my opinion. And it's something that I think you'll remember a little bit more. A lot of the scenery, the cinematography was really good, and this production value was really good, and this way things unfolded were a little bit better than, again, like a Le Monte, because I literally just saw that a day ago and I did my review. So that's my closest reference point to a French thriller. I don't think you'll regret this at all. And I think if you really look at a lot of the character choices that they have done, and I like the way that they allow these cliches to play out in a better way than other stuff that I have seen. So, The Frozen Dead, or Glacé. Have you seen it? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I would love to hear from you. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button too if you like what you see. And for more content, you can find me on Twitter at the FWordsG. Make sure you're following Entertain Facts on Instagram to get in on all our entertaining facts and new content that's going to be coming up as well. You can email us at thefwordpodcast@gmail.com. And that is my review. I'm G, and I'm out.